Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how a man can be sitting right next to you, completely relaxed, maybe even distracted, and then with just one simple touch, everything about him changes? His posture shifts, his attention locks onto you, and suddenly there's this spark of electricity in the air. It's almost unfair, isn't it? How something so small, so subtle, can have such a powerful effect. But here's the secret: men are wired to respond to touch in ways they can't even explain. It's not about being overly sexual, and it's not about being obvious. In fact, sometimes the most innocent, playful touches are the ones that drive him completely crazy for you. Think about it. Words are important. Yes, flirting, eye contact, even your smile. Those are all huge. But touch takes things to a whole new level. It bypasses the logical part of his brain and goes straight into his emotions. When you know where to touch him and how to do it, you create an instant connection that he simply can't resist. And here's the fun part: these touches aren't complicated. You don't need to be seductive or over the top. In fact, the beauty of this is that it's subtle. It's the kind of touch that makes him think, wow, I don't know why, but I just feel so close to her. I can't stop thinking about her. So today I'm going to share with you 5 specific places you can touch a man that will make him feel desired, masculine, and irresistibly drawn to you. If you want him to crave your presence and remember your touch long after you've left, this is where it starts. Let's start with something so simple, yet so powerful: his arm. Now, I know you might be thinking, really, his arm? That's it? But trust me, this one little touch can do more than you realize. When you place your hand on a man's arm, you're not just touching skin. You're tapping directly into his sense of masculinity, protection, and confidence. Men are wired to feel strong, capable, and admired. And the arm, believe it or not, is a place that symbolizes exactly that. It's where he feels his strength. It's the part of his body that he probably works on at the gym. It's the part he flexes without even realizing it when he's around you. Now, here's where it gets interesting. When you gently touch his arm while you're laughing at something he said, you're giving him so much more than a polite giggle. You're saying, without words, I like this, I like you. That small, playful touch on the arm is a reinforcement of the connection. It tells him you feel safe, that you're enjoying the moment, and that you're comfortable being close. And men pick up on this more than you know. Think of it this way. Imagine you're walking together, and you casually brush your hand against his arm while telling a story. That one move creates a moment of intimacy in an otherwise ordinary situation. Suddenly, the air feels different. He becomes hyper aware of you, of the closeness between you. That's the magic of touch. It doesn't require words, but it communicates volumes. And here's the thing, ladies, you don't have to overthink it. You don't have to strategize or plan when to touch his arm. It works best when it's spontaneous and natural. Maybe you're making a joke and you tap his arm as if to say, you know what I mean? Or maybe he's guiding you somewhere and you lightly rest your hand on his forearm as you walk. These tiny, seemingly insignificant gestures add up to a massive emotional response in him. Why? Because men don't often get this kind of physical validation. Women are used to hugging their friends, holding hands, linking arms, being affectionate with one another. Men don't have that same luxury. For many guys, the only time they receive soft, affectionate touch is when it comes from a woman they're attracted to. That's why when you touch his arm in a gentle, playful, or reassuring way, it hits him differently. It's not just a touch, it's a statement. I notice you, I feel good around you, I trust you. And trust me, that does wonders for how he feels about you. Now, you may think he doesn't notice these things, but let me tell you, he does. He may not consciously say, oh wow, she touched my arm, therefore she likes me. But his body registers it, his mind remembers it. That spark of electricity lingers long after the touch has ended. He'll replay the moment, even if he can't explain why it stood out. And suddenly, he'll find himself looking forward to those little touches, craving them, and associating them with the feeling of being admired by you. So don't underestimate the arm. It may look like just an ordinary spot, but in reality, it's one of the easiest, most effective ways to create closeness and ignite attraction. One simple touch can flip a switch in his mind and make him see you in an entirely different light. There's something almost magical about touching a man's back. It's subtle, it's supportive, and it carries a kind of intimacy that he doesn't experience often. Think about it. The back isn't usually the center of attention, right? It's not like holding hands or touching his arm. And yet, when you place your hand gently on a man's back, especially when you're leaning in to whisper something or guiding him through a crowded space. It sends a signal that feels incredibly personal. It says, I'm right here with you, I trust you, and I feel close to you. And men respond to that in a way they can't even put into words. When you touch a man's back, you're stepping into a zone that feels protective. It's the place that makes him feel strong, like you're acknowledging his role as someone you feel safe with. Imagine being at a party or in a busy room, and instead of just following behind him, you rest your hand gently on the small of his back as you walk together. That tiny gesture does two things. It gives him the feeling that you're comfortable being close to him, and it reassures him that you trust him to lead the way. That sense of trust is something men deeply crave from the women they're drawn to. But here's where it gets even better. When you lean in, maybe to tell him a secret, or to say something only he can hear, and your hand naturally finds his back, that's when the intimacy skyrockets. He suddenly feels like the two of you are in your own little world. That simple touch creates a bubble where it's just you and him, even if you're surrounded by people. And trust me, those are the moments men never forget, because it makes them feel chosen special and connected to you in a way that words alone could never achieve. The back is also powerful because it feels supportive. Men, more than they admit, love the idea that you're there for them. A gentle touch on his back can be grounding, almost like saying, I'm with you, I've got you. It's nurturing, but it also carries this undercurrent of desire. And because it's not an overtly sexual place, it feels safe, which makes it even more seductive. It's one of those touches that can completely change the energy of a moment without being obvious. Think of the last time someone touched you on the back unexpectedly. Maybe a friend guiding you through a crowd, or someone leaning in during a conversation. Didn't it feel personal? That's exactly what happens to him. Only this time, it's from a woman he's attracted to, and that makes it 10 times more powerful. So don't overlook this spot. The next time you're with him, whether you're saying goodbye, guiding him through a doorway, or leaning in to share something private, let your hand linger just for a second on his back. That little touch will echo in his mind long after. He won't always know why it affected him so much, but he'll know this: that being close to you feels different, it feels better, and he won't be able to resist wanting more of it. The neck is one of the most underestimated, yet incredibly powerful places to touch a man. Most people don't think about it, but the neck is actually one of the most sensitive and vulnerable areas of the body. When you touch a man there, it creates an instant rush of sensation that he can't control. It's not just physical, though, it's emotional. The neck is a deeply intimate spot, and when your hand finds its way there, it sends him a message. You're not just playing around, you're stepping into a space that feels personal, close, and irresistible. Think about it. When you lightly run your fingers along the side of his neck, or even casually fix his collar, you're sparking an energy he won't forget. It's a place that feels tender but also masculine, because it's where his pulse beats. You're literally touching the part of him that reminds him he's alive. And that's why it feels so powerful. Even the lightest touch there can send chills down his spine and make him suddenly hyper aware of you. What makes this touch so effective is the way it blends subtlety with intimacy. You don't have to grab his face or make it obvious. In fact, the most irresistible moments are the playful ones. Maybe you're joking with him and you reach up to touch his neck for just a second. Or maybe you're sitting close, leaning in, and your hand rests naturally on that spot. It doesn't have to be bold to have a big impact. Sometimes the smallest, softest touches leave the strongest impression. And here's something most women don't realize: men rarely get this kind of affection. Think about it. Women often touch each other on the arms, hug, hold hands, or even brush each other's hair back. Men don't usually get that kind of closeness. For a lot of men, the only time someone touches their neck is in a romantic or intimate context. That's why it feels so special when you do it. It's not just another gesture. It's something he instantly associates with closeness, vulnerability, and attraction. And let's not ignore the obvious: the neck is an incredibly sensual area. Even if you're not being sexual, when you touch his neck, it activates that part of his brain that links physical closeness with desire. A gentle brush of your fingers there makes him lean in closer. It makes him want more of your touch. It makes him crave you in a way he can't rationalize. And that craving, that's what makes him think about you long after you've gone. So picture this: you're saying goodbye after spending time together. Instead of just giving a quick hug, You let your hand graze the side of his neck as you pull away. That moment lingers. He'll get into his car later or sit at home, and that tiny, fleeting touch will replay in his mind over and over. It's not the words you said that he'll remember. It's the way your hand felt on his neck. That's what makes him addicted to your presence. The neck is powerful because it's a mix of vulnerability and strength. It's intimate without being obvious, playful yet unforgettable. And when you use it in the right moments, it becomes one of your most powerful tools of attraction. There's something incredibly intimate about a man's hands, and most women don't realize just how powerful this simple touch can be. Hands are not just physical tools. They carry so much emotion, connection, and meaning. When you touch a man's hands, you're not only making contact with him physically, you're also tapping into one of the deepest emotional triggers he has, the feeling of closeness and belonging. Think about how often we use our hands to communicate without words. We shake hands, we wave, we gesture, we point. But when it comes to intimacy, hands suddenly take on an entirely different role. Holding someone's hand is one of the oldest, most universal signs of affection. It doesn't matter if you're 15 or 50. That simple act of interlacing fingers or brushing your hand against his creates a surge of emotional connection that no words can replace. And for a man, when you do it, it means more than you think. Imagine you're sitting across from him and you reach out to touch his hand while telling a story. That tiny moment is filled with meaning. It says, "I'm choosing you. I want to connect with you." Men don't get that kind of affection very often, and when they do, it goes straight to their heart. It makes them feel special, wanted, and seen. Even something as playful as brushing your fingers against his when you hand him a drink or lightly tugging at his hand when you're laughing together can create sparks. And then there's the act of holding his hand while walking. This isn't just about physical touch. It's about partnership. It tells him, "I want to be next to you. I want the world to see us together." And believe me, that does wonders for a man's confidence. He suddenly feels like he's not just someone you're spending time with. He's someone you've chosen, someone you want to claim in front of everyone else. That kind of validation makes him feel deeply connected to you. Hands are also powerful because they're so emotionally safe. You don't have to be bold or make a big move to touch them. You can do it in the most natural, innocent ways, and yet it still stirs something in him. And once again, this is something men secretly crave more than they admit. They might not say, "I want her to touch my hand," but when it happens, they feel it, they remember it. That little warmth, that contact, that reminder that you're right there, it leaves a lasting impression. And let's not forget the subtle tension it can create. When your fingers brush against his and linger just a second longer than necessary, it builds anticipation. It's not overt, but it plants the seed of attraction in his mind. He'll think about that moment long after, wondering if you did it on purpose, replaying how it made him feel. That's what makes touching his hands such a powerful move. It combines innocence with intimacy, safety with seduction. So don't underestimate this one. His hands may seem ordinary, but when you touch them with intention, you create a memory he won't be able to shake. It makes him feel wanted. It makes him feel chosen. And most importantly, it makes him crave that closeness with you again and again. The face is, without question, one of the most tender and irresistible places you can touch a man. Think about it. When was the last time someone gently touched your face? It's rare, isn't it? That's what makes it so powerful. Most men go through their daily lives without anyone ever touching their face, except in moments of deep affection or intimacy. So when you reach up and brush his cheek, trace along his jawline, or hold his face in your hands even for a second, it's a gesture that hits him right in the heart. Here's why it matters so much. The face is where we show our emotions. It's where we smile, laugh, frown, look nervous, or light up with excitement. When you touch his face, it's like you're saying, "I see you. I'm connected to you. I want to be close to you exactly as you are in this moment." That's incredibly validating for a man. It makes him feel seen, chosen, and adored in a way that almost nothing else can. And let's be real, the jawline is one of the most masculine features a man has. It's often the part he's secretly proud of, the feature that makes him feel strong and attractive. When your hand lingers there, it doesn't just feel good physically, it also tells him you admire his masculinity. And trust me, men crave that feeling. They want to know that you notice those little things about them. Even something small, like brushing away an eyelash from his cheek or adjusting his hair when it falls out of place, can create an incredible emotional moment. It feels nurturing, caring, and affectionate. And because it's so unexpected, it stands out. Men don't experience this kind of tenderness very often. So when you give it, it's unforgettable. And then there are the romantic moments. Picture this, you're laughing together. He says something sweet, and in that playful pause, you put your hand on the side of his face. He won't even be able to focus on the conversation anymore, because in that instant, everything in him is drawn to you. That touch communicates so much without words: attraction, affection, and intimacy all rolled into one. This kind of touch also carries a vulnerability to it. You're not just brushing his sleeve or tapping his shoulder. You're placing your hand on the most personal, most expressive part of his body. That level of closeness makes him let down his guard. It makes him soften, relax, and open up emotionally in a way he may not with anyone else. And once a man feels that kind of emotional safety with you, he will keep coming back for it. The beauty of touching a man's face is that it's not something he can ignore. He may forget the words you said or the details of the evening, but he won't forget how it felt when your hand rested on his cheek, when your thumb brushed his jaw, or when you leaned in just a little closer. That's the moment that imprints itself on him. That's the memory that makes him crave your presence again and again. So don't underestimate the power of this touch. Touch his face, his jawline. They're not just physical features. They're the doorway to his heart. And when you touch him there, he can't resist the connection it creates. So ladies, here's what I want you to take away from this. Touch is one of the most powerful tools you have in creating connection and attraction with a man. It's not about being overly forward, and it's definitely not about trying to seduce him in some obvious way. It's about subtlety. It's about those little gestures, a touch on his arm, the small of his back, the side of his neck, his hands, or his face, that say more than words ever could. These 5 spots aren't random. They work because they combine physical closeness with emotional intimacy. When you touch him on the arm, you validate his strength. When you place your hand on his back, you show trust. When you brush his neck, you awaken his senses. When you hold his hands, you create partnership. And when you touch his face, you go straight to his heart. That's the secret. A man might forget the exact things you said. He might forget the little details of the evening, but he will never forget how your touch made him feel. That's what lingers. That's what makes him crave you, think about you, and miss you when you're not around. So here's my challenge to you. Try it. The next time you're with the man you like, don't overthink it. Just allow yourself to naturally use touch in these subtle ways. Notice how he reacts. Notice how the energy shifts. I guarantee you'll see just how powerful it can be. And now I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 touches do you already use? And which one are you most excited to try? Drop it in the comments below. I read them all, and I can't wait to see what you think. And if you found this video helpful, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss my future advice on love and relationships. Remember, you deserve a love that excites you, fulfills you, and makes you feel cherished. Let's go get it together.